Hello everyone and welcome back to what is usually the sunny steppes of Australia, but right now we do have rain in the pit lane and it does look to be intermediate conditions for the time being. But we are back with round two, the first proper round that is being streamed on the YouTube, because round one had some issues, but we are back for this one, and we are back with the Australian Grand Prix for round two of this season 3 calendar, and we already have a couple of drivers out on track. We have Fadesy, 2 Haas, 2 Alfa Romeos, a Ferrari, McLaren and Mercedes out there at the moment, but Fadesy looks to be the first man that is going to set a lap time, of course, if he keeps it valid. Unfortunately suffered with the DNF last time in Saudi Arabia. The top 3 was KP, Koru and Mike. So that was an interesting Grand Prix from what I have heard. But today's focus is on Australia. We have short qualifying before a 50% race. The whole of the race is not going to be streamed, but we will get some of it in. But Fadesy is going to start his lap in what looks to be some treacherous, rainy conditions. I don't think he's going to pick up any sort of traffic until around the second sector. So the track is all to himself at the moment and looks very tentative into turn 1. Just finding his braking points and where the grip is on the track. So far, no major moments. Looks to be keeping it pretty clean, but obviously a lot of understeer in the Aston Martin. I'm sure the Haas behind him are feeling that as well. Maybe not the Mercedes, as they are all coming to the end of their first sector as well. So we will see how this lap pans out for the rest of them. But coming up to the second sector split, it is a 50.3 for the Aston Martin. Bit of understeer on the quick left-right, and he will move on to the more technical sector 3 now with a sharp 90 right, which has a lot of runoff curve, but you never really want to use too much of it because it will unsettle the car. But to the last couple of corners, I have just noticed that there is a lot of understeer in this Aston Martin, so maybe he hasn't found the right setup in these conditions, but is a 28.8 first lap for him. Ted is going to be the next man to set a lap, and we can see what time is going to be in comparison. A little slide from the Haas on the exit of the final corner, but across the line for him it's a 27.8, so a second faster than what he can manage. Goat Lonzo unfortunately didn't set a lap time. The Line Cookie also didn't set a lap time. But we have a couple of Alfa Romeos, so lots of invalidations at the moment. Nobody seems to be setting a clean lap. There's Jameer in the Williams going round, and F1 Lewis has retired from the session at turn 1, I believe. Maybe we can see it, and looks lost it at turn 1, and that is the Ferrari out of qualifying. So if these conditions do improve, he might be starting last on the grid. As a massive snap from Artem in the Alfa Romeo. We have yellows the end of the first sector, yellows second sector, and there's an Alpine in the wall, and that's Pam Polly losing his wing. Maybe there might have been contact with the Ferrari. He still has all 4 wheels on his wagon, so he can go slowly back to the pit lane. And Robin in the Williams now retires, so hopefully we can see this on Mike's camera. Yeah, on the left hand side There is a Williams also out of the session, so 2 drivers out of the session before we even hit the 10-minute mark. So obviously they are finding it tricky in these conditions, but we can see how the others are managing it. Green Dragon next to solo lap time. It's a bit better through the final corner, maybe a little snap on the exit, but to the line it's P9 for the Alfa Romeo. I saw an Alpine crossing there, but I believe, yeah, that's Josh just starting a lap. Keanu is going to be one of the next to come across the line for his first lap in this qualifying session, a bit deep into the penultimate corner and then around the final corner for the drive to the line. T. Crombie now also retires from the session, so we have 3 drivers out already. Keanu goes up into P3 in that Ferrari, and we can try have a look at what happened to Ted. No, I think the car's disappeared, so we're not going to see it. I assume he just lost the rear somewhere on the racetrack. But yeah, who else is on a lap? Goat Lonzo is not. I think it's Josh who is invalidated. Also invalidated. Might be Green Dragon. Nope, he's letting someone through. So maybe Reese Thomas on a lap, but he is 4 tenths down on his previous delta, so I don't expect this lap to have a lot. I think he's pulling into the pit lane as well. Nope, he's going for it. You can see what this lap time is from the McLaren as he now crosses the line, and no improvement from him, 1.1 seconds down, but maybe he is going for that 3rd consecutive lap time. Fadesy is on an outlap, most of which are on an outlap. Mike is on a push lap, so we will watch him through the final sector now, into the sharp 90 right, and then you've got the what usually is 1 downshift and around the corner, but I think in these tricky conditions you may have to downshift more. Penultimate corner now, final corner, picking up I believe his first podium, maybe not actually, well, his first podium this season obviously. Mike moved from AlphaTauri to McLaren, stuck himself into P4 at the moment. We have 9 minutes remaining in this qualifying session, and there are still a lot of lap times to be set, so maybe the ones in the pit lane are waiting for conditions to improve, but the rain does not seem to be stopping at the moment. The line cookie has invalidated. I don't know anyone. Fadesy has invalidated. Reese Thomas, is it going to be an improvement? It is P9 for the McLaren, a decent lap from him, and then we have, I believe, Pan Polly to cross the line and start his lap. It looks to carry a lot more speed than the other drivers through turn 1. A massive snap on the exit, manages to keep it in a straight line, and he can carry on now through the next couple of corners. KP with a 26.1 tops the timing sheets even further, about a 4/10 improvement on what he had on Keanu before, but it's nice to see that those two are battling at the front once again. But we are on board with Pampoli. There seems to be a spin for one of the Alpines, I believe. Josh maybe just lost traction, going very slowly, going to let his teammate through to continue his lap. But what is Pampoli's middle sector split going to be? It's a 49.6 for the Alpine, holding those higher gears, and that's off track. Manages to keep the lap time, but that's going to lose him roughly a 10th, I would think. But he will continue on. I'm sure he'll finish this lap before pitting for some new inters to go for a final push lap. But Pampoli around the final corner now, and his first lap time on the board is going to be a 27.5, which is good enough for P6. He's in a AlphaTauri sandwich, each separated by about 3 tenths, so quite a lot of cars in the pit lane at the moment. I'd assume they have a new set of tyres ready for their final laps. Goat Lonzo is not going to improve on this run. KP is not going to improve as well, but I think this is another push lap from the Red Bull. We have 6 minutes remaining in this session. It looks to be a push lap so far. We'll go on board with the Red Bull for this lap if it is a push lap. If it isn't, he's pushing quite hard for an in lap. But yeah, currently top to Mike, who's put in a really good lap recently. There's carnage in front of him. I think that's Fadesy, who's lost a wing. Yeah, Fadesy. Is that Fadesy? No, it's not, sorry. That's Cannon, the other Aston Martin, who's lost his front wing. Currently sat just on the cusp of what would be Q1 exit, but obviously it is a shortened qualifying session today, only one 18-minute timed session, so it won't matter too much if you are in that bottom 5. Obviously it's not as good grid spot as you may like, but KP, we'll see if he does box with this lap. Nope, he is going to finish it. So let's see what this lap is going to be for the Red Bull. Can he improve on his 26.1? He can, with a 25.9, a 2.5 tenth improvement. And this Red Bull at the moment is flying in these conditions. Can anyone get close to that pole position? His teammate yet to set a lap time, but now is out of the pit lane. Sat in P20, so the pressure is there for Corey. He does need to get a decent lap time on the board. There's still a tyre on the end of turn 1. Reese Thomas now retires from the session. Fadesy's about to go past, and that is on the left hand side, and his front left tyre has come off, so probably a loss of traction from the 90 right, and he has been sent into the wall. You can see without picture. Is stream better quality? Good. Goat Lonzo now out of the session as well, and that is going to be Koru passing him. Hopefully his car does stay there so we can see what kind of mess he's made. So we have had 5 DNFs in this session. That's the front right tyre off of that Mercedes, and not what he would have wanted. He is currently sat in a decent P5 position, but I'm sure the track will be improving, so we will wait and see for him. But let's go with Koru for his... Oh my god, I think he might have to back off this lap. A massive snap of oversteer, luckily kept outside of the barriers, but Koru must have shat himself there and does invalidate on the first corner. So the pressure now is well and truly on. I think he's only going to get 1 flying lap in the session, so could Koru bottle this completely and be starting plumb last on the grid? Josh is 2 tenths up on his previous delta, which would be good enough at the moment for P9, currently sat in P12. So we will see if he can jump his teammate in the pecking order. Josh now to cross the line, and it's P9 for the Alpine, just ahead of his teammate, quite comfortably actually, about 2 tenths between them. Grin Dragon is starting his flying lap. Same with Mink. No, Mink is going to go up to P7, 1.1 off KP, but it's a decent lap time from that Mercedes. I believe that is Koru in the final sector. So we'll see if he can hook up this final corner any better than he did last time. And does manage to do that. So we will go on board with the Red Bull for this lap. Can it be another pole position for the Red Bull man? He's good on a Saturday, but can, if he does sneak pole position, translate that to a win on the Sunday? We will have to see for now, but we'll watch his qualifying lap and compare the deltas between him and KP. And coming soon to the end of the first sector is the Red Bulls. Another massive snap from the back end of that Red Bull, who is sliding all over the shop at the moment, and he's lost it again. This Red Bull is on absolute skates at the moment. 1 minute 30 remaining in the session. He's going to have to back off this lap and go for a third push lap. He does have the fuel. He's got 4.4 laps of fuel in the tank, so I'm assuming he backs off this lap and goes for it again. But this is going to be the last chance for this Red Bull. A lot of people now on their final flying laps. KP is on his out lap. Everyone else, I believe, is on their final lap. BN Artem, can we just say, is in P3 at the moment, just about to start his final flying lap. So Koru, this is going to be the final chance for the Red Bull. Can he hook up a lap in qualifying through turn 1 and 2? Looks good so far, and on the exit of turn 2, he's just kept it within track limits for the moment, but now down into the first major braking zone, a flick to the right and then back to the left, so you can hook it up for the next right-hander. No invalidation so far, and the rear seems to be keeping intact. We have yellows down the main straight, but I believe that is people just starting their flying laps. So he's gone purple in the first sector, 0.3 up on his previous time, little lift for where he dropped it last time, and the lap time doesn't seem to be close to what KP was doing, but we don't have the sector time, so this is really going to matter for Koru. He goes purple middle sector, but I believe that is only his sector split, so obviously improving on that lap before. 2 snaps at the throttle for that right-hander, and through now into the final sector of this lap. Is it going to be pole position for the Red Bull man? 25.9 is the time to beat. Mink has put himself up into P2. Keanu P3, that's the best he's going to get today. Can Koru put his Red Bull on pole position across the line? It's good enough for P2 from the man, and it's 0.3 off his teammate, who's yet to actually complete his final lap. We'll go on board with him. There's Grindragon now out of the session. Can KP extend his lead any further? It's going to be a 25.9. Doesn't do so, but he does have that pole position. Can Jameer improve on his time? No, it's not the day for the Williams. Can Josh now improve? Currently sat in P13, so he needs to claw time back to his teammate, but he's invalidated, so this lap is not going to count. And Fadesy, what are you doing, silly boy? Oh, nice. Fadesy's not going to trouble anyone. He's sat in P18. So that is the end of qualifying. KP taking home pole position for the second time this season. Koru started P3 in Saudi Arabia. It's going to start P2 today. Mink starts P3. Mike again with a high P4. Keanu P5. BN Artem in P6. Gagli in P7, Goat Lonzo P8, Pam Polly P9, Thomas rounding out that top 10. F1 Lewis we saw crash earlier in the session, starts P11. And that is the end of qualifying. Now bring on the race. So KP starts on that pole position. And then you have the bottom 10 on screen. Robin, I believe, crashed on his flying lap, is starting plumb last. His Williams teammate in P14, Haas starting P12 and P16, so no pole position in this video game. Ferrari with P5 and P11, so they will be punching their desks at the moment, but hoping for a better race. Now we move forward to the main event. Race predictions. Got no idea. Any race predictions? KP, Koru. Standard top 2 from Infinite Spa. But no formation lap. So straight to the main event, and we can go to 5 red lights. And the lights are out, and KP gets a good start ahead of his Red Bull teammate. Mink has dropped to 3rd already, and Mike is up into the podium places. Down the inside goes Koru into the first corner. KP just has to slip in behind his teammate. Mike up to P3, Mink P4. Artem and Keanu are fighting out for P5. The Mercedes is going side by side with the AlphaTauri. The AlphaTauri slips in behind for the next corner. We seem to have a couple of moves going on at the back. That's T. Crombie going very wide. The Line Cookie going very wide, and he's dropped down to P17 after being shoved off the road by looks to be a Aston Martin. But Koru leads us away from KP Games. Mike follows closely, and then BN Artem in P4, Keanu P5, Mink and Goat Lonzo have dropped to P6 and P7. F1 Lewis picking up a few places on this race start, is up into P8, and Koru just seems to absolutely send it into that first corner, muscled his teammate out of the way, and it finds himself in P1. T. Crombie and Josh just switching places. There's 3 wide between these lot in front, and Thomas is side by side with his teammate. T. Crombie is going to send it down the inside of all of them, and he's going to pick up a couple of places. Thomas just ahead. Jameer and Josh JS Gaming are going side by side down the main straight now. We'll see who wins this battle out. It looks to be the Williams at the moment, and they all go down into the next corner. Reese Thomas had a little look up the inside of Josh, but nothing going for him at the moment, and we can carry on and look behind to see Fadesy and the Line Cookie going side by side. Can the Line Cookie hold it around the outside of that Aston Martin? Space given from both of them, and it looks to be the Line Cookie making his way up into P15. We have yellow sector 1. That's F1 Lewis has been spun round, looks to have lost part of his front wing. Grin Dragon, I believe, had to pit for damage, and again the Ferraris having some torrid luck here in Tri-Line Racing League, but it's a Red Bull 1-2 at the moment. Koru not managing to escape KP at the moment, 4/10 separating them. Mike is staying within that DRS range, and BN Artem is in P4 at the moment. Then you have Keanu P5, who dropped off slightly, so maybe the tyre's not coming to him at the moment. Doesn't really seem to be any front wing damage, so maybe just skill related. T. Crombie, though, is going to have to look up the inside of the Williams. Nothing at the moment. This is for a points-paying position, so he'll look to get past and move his way forward after crashing out in qualifying. But at the moment, everyone seems to have formed some kind of rhythm, and we can get in the flow of the race. Lap 3 already. T Crombie, the DRS, sorry, will be activated on this lap, so T Crombie will have an extra boost when trying to get past the Williams, but tyres, it's a mixed bunch, and that's a Williams into the wall, and that's Jameer, I believe, who has spun it coming out of the right-hander, and T Crombie didn't even need the DRS to overtake. He just had to see the Williams crash in front of him, and that's hard luck for Jameer. No safety car, so stewards are happy that there is no need to bring out a safety car, and we can get this race going again. Koru is still trying to fend off KP, and this could be a good battle into the first corner. KP about 5/10 behind him at the moment, but he's going to pick up that DRS all the way down the main straight. 92% battery for the Red Bull. Koru already on 71%, so it looks to be at the moment that KP has the pace over his teammate, picking up another dose of the DRS down the short straight into the right-hander, and he's not going to be close enough this time around, but I'm sure when we get into sector 3 he'll be looking for a move into the right-hander. Jameer gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, most annoying penalty on the game, but yeah, let's see how this pans out with the two Red Bulls and whether there are going to be any moves made between the two of them. There seems to be T Crombie and a massive train behind them. Yeah, from about 10th to 16th there is a train behind that Haas. No passes from KP on the short straight of DRS, but will he be looking for a move this time around? He seems to be a little closer to Koru, gap 4.5 tenths. He is on 100% ERS. Koru is using down the main straight, so it looks to be that Koru does have the straight line speed on KP, but obviously that has its benefits and its flaws in different parts of the circuit. I'm sure KP is closing a lot in the corners. Maybe that's why we saw Koru going all over the place in qualifying, because he was running such a low downforce setup. But let's look behind and see if there are any more battles on the field. We have the two Mercedes following each other quite nicely at the moment. Mink and Goat Lonzo, P6 and 7 at the moment, so a good result from Mercedes. I'm sure they would like to pass the McLaren and Alfa Romeo that have sneaked ahead of them in qualifying, but their pace is going to need to improve if anything like that wants to happen. We have yellows sector 2, and I believe that is RPM Robin picking up maybe a spin or some damage somewhere. But yellow sector 1, and that's Grin Dragon in the Alfa Romeo going for a little dandy spin. I think he is going to keep the place on the two ahead of him, but that gap is going to fall significantly. But at the moment, Koru is wasting away with his ERS. Maybe KP playing it a bit smart at the moment. Again, he's going to pick up the DRS, and I don't think Koru, unless a safety car or something comes, is going to get outside of that 1 second window. Yellow sector 2, RPM Robin has retired from the session, and we do have a safety car out on track. Fadesy is going to box. Almost clipping that inside wall there. Fadesy is going to box. I don't know what tyre for. Grin Dragon picks up a drive-through for speeding under safety car. A new nose for the Aston Martin, and he can get back on the racetrack. Just ahead of Grin Dragon, who boxed, but he's going to have to serve that drive-through on the next lap as well. So we'll see what the leaders do. Is it too early to box? I'm not sure. Is Koru gonna pit? Koru pits, so does KP. KP's gonna want to leave a gap, surely. Doesn't want to be too close to his team, otherwise he's gonna have to wait longer. So really playing into the hands of Koru and not to KP. He might get done by Keanu here, and he is. So Keanu is going to jump KP in the pit stops. So the Red Bull that looks like he has all the pace in the world is going to drop behind what would sure to be his championship rival, and he is down to P12, so he's going to get Thomas between him as well. So this has worked out an absolute nightmare for our championship leader. He is currently sat in P12 behind an Alpha Tauri, a Ferrari, an Alfa Romeo, a McLaren, and the race leader Koru, and most of which, all of the guys that were ahead of him before the pit stops are now ahead of him, but with a pit stop as well. So these guys will be going to the end of the race. Stream is going to end soon. I have to go like 2 more minutes. Oh. But both Mercedes are going to lead this race, probably betting on a second safety car to come out. So is Pam Polly, so is T. Crombie, Josh, and Thomas, who've all not boxed yet. So it's a 1-2 for the Mercs at the moment, and we are just waiting for F1 Lewis, Jameer, Fadesy and Grin Dragon to catch up to the back of the queue, and then we can get this race back underway, but I don't think you'll see the race start. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go. Join next week for round 3.